Some people are born into comfort, into rules already written, into maps already drawn. But every now and then, someone steps off the path. Not out of rebellion, but because they hear something calling. Something from beyond the edge of the chart. They follow the wind instead of the rules, the stars instead of the signs, their heart instead of headlines. And in doing so, they find things no one else was looking for. A flash in the distance, a voice on a forgotten island, a second chance where the world had already said no. This is the story of a life lived with instinct, with courage, with a kind of quiet defiance. A life that asked, what if we choose kindness over comfort? What if we stopped leaving people behind? Welcome to If These Trees Could Talk.
Today, we would like to acknowledge all the Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people, those who are listening, those who came before us, and those who continue to lead with strength, wisdom, and culture. We extend that respect to all First Nations people here and around the world. As always, we recognise that we are recording on the lands of the Wonnarua people and also acknowledge the many lands this podcast will be heard on, each with its own stories, caretakers, and songlines. In this episode, we share stories from the remarkable life of Peter Warner, a man whose journey took him across many lands, including, but definitely not limited to, the Kulin Nation, the Eora Nation, Palawa Land, and Bundjalung Country. Today, we also step outside of Australia to honour the original custodians of the island of Atta. The Attan people, a proud Polynesian community, lived in deep connection with their land until they were violently uprooted during the Pacific slave trade in 1863. Their forced removal is a painful reminder of the legacies of colonisation and the resilience of Indigenous cultures. We remember them with deep respect, and we acknowledge that their stories, like so many, have too often been silenced. Today we make space for these stories. Oh, there's not even any hints. Here's a love story.
Of course. Do you think the majority of people on Earth are good or selfish? If it weren't for the maggots eating the bad flesh, he would have died. They've all had funerals. All their families have said goodbye to these boys.
Well, that was unusual. We've switched jobs. I did the acknowledgement of country and Megan did the introduction. So guess what that means?
I'm so nervous. I am telling today's story and I'm going to firstly disclose that I used a few of your beautifully handwritten introductions in a specific artificial intelligence tool to create mine because I am not a writer and I'm not a storyteller and I'm so nervous about today.
I'm so excited about this. I've been trying to convince Megan to do some episodes for a very, very long time because she travels to some really cool spots and I want to know about them. Through her non-podcasting job, she gets lots of opportunities to meet really interesting characters. And I want to know all about those things and I want to be allowed to go with her. But unfortunately, I don't work in the same field and I'm not. So I've been kind of coaxing her into this. But she is my reluctant co-host. And today she takes the driver's seat, which I'm very, very excited about. But I'm also nervous because I have no idea what she's going to talk about.
Feels good, doesn't it?
Not really. It kind of seems mean that I've been doing this to you for such a long time.
Don't worry, I've got lots of love and happy endings in these stories, so maybe you won't like it.
Oh, no, that's going to say a lot about me if I don't.
You actually, from the outside, I know it's not, but you make it look really easy. And I'd been doing a lot of research in this story, and I think it was Monday that I messaged you and said, I think I'm ready to do a story. Like, when? This Saturday okay? Okay. And now I've invested a good 4 hours every night in this. I even sent you a message of me with like an eye mask on because my eyes were so sore from looking at the screen.
Yeah.
You make it look easy. It is not. And the roller coaster I've been on over the last week has been a bit intense.
How many rabbit holes have you
So
been
many
down?
rabbit holes. So many. And I feel like I'm never going to feel ready.
Nope. Every week I do it. Every time I come to the studio, I'm like, oh, nobody will probably like this. And it's just because I'm unhinged and that's why this has grabbed me. But we've had great feedback about every single story we've done.
That's good. Well, I feel like I also need to disclose that I'm not a journalist. I know nothing. I don't know who I am to be telling this story. I feel very much out of my comfort zone, but that's where the magic happens.
I was thinking about imposter syndrome on the way here and how I do so many things that I just have no business actually doing. And I was like, Megan's going to tell me today that she feels like she's got imposter syndrome. And I'm like, it's the theme of my life. So
100%.
welcome to the club.
There's a chance that this won't even make it to publish because it might not be interesting. Or the other concern is maybe everyone on the planet already knows this story.
My concern is that you're going to do it and everyone's going to say, oh, we like Megan way better than Shannon. Don't let her do anymore.
I also don't know whether this is going to be a 10-minute episode or a 2-hour episode.
Well, let's just run with it and see what it turns into.
All right.
If you build it, they will come. You put it into the universe and the universe will do with it what it does.
Let's do it.
Okay.
Okay. So from the Acknowledgement of Country, which I made you read with no background knowledge.
And I did pretty good. I didn't make too many mistakes.
You did very
There was
well.
a lot of Indigenous terminology in there that I generally practice over and over and over before I get here. Because
Put the pronunciations in there for you.
I know, but I hadn't reread it, so I didn't know they were there.
I know. It's fun to understand how the other one feels. I'm excited about getting to the end of this and handing you over the SD card so you can do the editing.
Yeah, I was thinking about that. And I was like, maybe I should try and edit this one. And I'm like, there is no way she is going to let me edit her.
No way. No way. And that's why I've got a little more confidence than I should right now, knowing that if there's anything that I don't like, I can just cut it out.
And that's why I have so much confidence because I'm like, if you can make me sound like I know about stuff, then this is going to be amazing.
You do know about stuff.
I never know all the things.
Oh,
It's
you
so
can
frustrating.
never know all of the things. It's so frustrating.
I messaged you last week saying, oh, I just found out this about Sarah Island and I wish I'd known this and this would have been a great aspect to this story and it links into a previous episode and I just need to know all the things and I can never know all the things. Mm-hmm. And what do you say to the kids, Megan?
It's okay if you don't know everything.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, so mentioned in the Acknowledgement of Country, we are talking about a man called Peter Warner today. So it's a little bit of a biography. Mm-hmm. Peter was born in 1931, the son of Ethel Wakefield and Sir Arthur Warner, a very wealthy and powerful Australian businessman and politician. Mm. This story is not about him though, but I'm sure I could have went down that rabbit hole as well. Peter grew up in Melbourne with every opportunity at his feet, but he longed for the sea, not the boardroom.
Oh, is this going to have cannibalism in it?
No cannibalism, but there are two parts where I go, oh, yeah, Shannon's going to like this bit.
I was waiting for another bit about the law of the sea, but anyway, carry on.
Not that I know of. So at 15, he ran away from home and those pressures for him to follow in his father's footsteps to become a sailor. He lied about his age and joined Norwegian merchant ships, sailing around the world and beginning a lifelong relationship with the ocean. He particularly fell in love with crayfishing and spent a lot of time in the area of Tasmania fishing down there.
I have watched a lot of people catch crayfish in Tasmania. It's a bit of a YouTube thing. And some of the places that they dive are stunning, but you have to put your hand in holes.
I didn't go down that rabbit hole either, that literal hole. I didn't look into that.
Do crayfish bite?
I didn't look.
Look at me introducing the rabbit hole.
Stop! Just let me tell the story. No, don't. Please jump in when you need to. So I'm just going to talk about a few things that happened in his early life And I'm going to start with one of his first voyages, which landed him in China.
Okay, great.
In 1949, during the Chinese Civil War, he turned up at Shanghai and started travelling up the Yangtze, and he saw Mao's Red Army. I remember learning about the Yangtze being a very religious river. I remember learning about this in high school.
Yes. I knew immediately that the Yangtze was a river, but I don't know a lot about the Civil War.
Me either. And again, we're not diving in that rabbit hole.
Right,
No
okay.
side quests yet.
Okay, right, good.
What he actually saw when he turned up was, well, this river was quite polluted because it's such a sacred river. It can often be their funeral. What's that, like their place of rest?
Oh, so they put
bodies, but they also wash in there and they also drink from there. And
okay.
It's a very polluted river, but it's supposed to be really quite special. And when he turned up, he saw truckloads of bodies being dumped into this river.
Oh.
Pretty horrifying, yeah. He also, on one of these trips, not in China, had a near-death experience where his dinghy capsized. And it was at this time that he really started to follow religion and challenge it. So he was originally brought up as a Christian, but as he got older, he started challenging it and learning about a lot of different religions, and he really liked the concept of understanding all different religions.
I love this guy.
And then later in life, he chose one and has followed that for the rest of his life. But he was interested in Buddhism and Hinduism, Confucianism, Islam, Judaism.
Wow.
Yep. In the 1950s, however, he was under a little bit of pressure from his father to come back and help him with the company. And he returned home, earned a law degree, and took on the responsibilities of the family business. But he never gave up on his nautical dreams. In 1955, he fell in love.
He's a love story.
Of course. And I have a quote, actually. He has written 3 memoirs, which I have got a lot of this information from. This is from the first memoir called Astor, Adventures Ashore and Afloat.
Astor.
It's
Astor.
A-S-T-O-R. It's the name of one of his ships. So this love quote has come from that book. I had travelled all over the world looking at beautiful ladies, but determined I was not going to get married until I turned 30 at least, which would be in another 6 years. However, I had not reckoned on a girl who swept me off my feet and to whom I became engaged in less than 6 months from meeting her.
Aww.
I know.
He was in love.
And forever. They stayed together forever.
Did he meet her when he was back here working for the family business, or am I not allowed to know that yet?
Yes, she is Australian.
Yes.
And his children are Australian. So they actually had a really hard time having a family, many miscarriages. And this is hard, Shannon. I don't know how you do this. A preemie baby girl, Ingrid, that only lived for 2 days.
Oh. It's hard when you've read the story in their words and then we're trying to summarise it, which is really important, big things. But then you're carrying the emotional stuff of listening to them tell that story and trying to convey it but summarise it at the same time. It's a hard thing to do.
It was hard to read. It's obviously really tricky to listen to. So they ended up giving up on that and they adopted a daughter, Carolyn. And then he gives credit to Carolyn for bringing the love into their family. They actually went on to have 2 natural children, a son and a daughter, Janet and Peter Jr.
Great.
So his wife and 3 kids were born in Australia, and the book, The Astor, talks about those first 30 years of his life. It also talks about how during the 60s he became a very accomplished sailor, winning 3 Sydney to Hobart races.
Ooh, so he was good at it.
I think he was pretty good.
Yeah. See, he probably had imposter syndrome too.
I'm sure
he was
did.
like, I'm not meant to be a sailor. My family doesn't want me to be a sailor, but I really feel drawn to it and I'm just going to do it. And he turned out great at it.
Yeah.
Go, Peter.
He's pretty good at it.
Yeah.
And that's what practice does, right? Mm-hmm. It's all about experience and practice.
It is.
Now, the next part of the story is what Peter describes as the most interesting part of my life on this planet.
Ooh, I'm excited about this.
And I'm going to do a Shannon and I'm going to stop there and jump to another part of an unrelated story that will come back into Peter's journey in a moment.
Oh, you could direct a movie.
Okay, I've learned from the best.
Again, something I did that I had no business doing.
So I'm going to tell you about how I came across this story, how it relates to me. Mm-hmm. And we're going to start with a little bit of a discussion. Shannon, do you think the majority of people on Earth are good or selfish?
The majority. Oh, this is hard. I think the majority of humans are self-serving. Is it meant to be this tricky, or do you just want a one-word answer?
You can just give me a one-word answer.
I think the majority are selfish. I think kindness exists, and I have worked very hard on the dialectics of all of the things, so they can coexist. But I would say the majority of people are self-serving. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
As always, you've gone very deep on that answer.
Sorry.
Just like when we were having a very candid discussion about Happy Gilmore 2, you did look into that very deeply.
I'd had a few beers and I just felt like that my ability to be able to go deeper and look at the reasoning around why he made some choices probably wasn't as good as it should have been.
Okay. My husband Scott showed me a video that he was showing with his staff at work on, I think it was kind of like a getting started activity with that keynote inspirational thing. And it was a 7-minute video by Rutger Bregman, who is a Dutch historian. And he, in this 7-minute video, spoke about things that it just seems like common sense. But we are kind. Humans are kind. And he actually had a lot of analytical information and science to back that up. Mm-hmm. And I was captured by this 7-minute video, and I always do this. Somebody will say, hey, listen to this quick podcast, and it's an author talking about their book, but then I need to fully deep dive. So I've gone and bought the book. It's called Humankind, A Hopeful History. It was published in 2021.
I got the question wrong. I should have chose kindness.
But you're not alone, and he does have a very long book of science here trying to get to the bottom of it. So it's okay that you were wrong.
Well, they can coexist, but yes, I was wrong.
It's okay if you don't know everything.
I should have picked it. It's you. I should have known it was going to the positivity.
Well, that's nice. I think that's a compliment. In summary, his book talks about this veneer theory where humans, they all pretend to be kind, but it's just this really thin veneer on the outside. And then once that's removed under fear or pressure, they're actually savage.
Yeah.
Yeah, you agree?
Yeah. I agree with the veneer theory. I wouldn't have used the word savage. I would have used the word self-serving.
He might not have used the word savage.
Okay. But I've also got a pretty skewed view of the world, Megan.
He goes back to archaeological history and forward to COVID and 9/11 and looks at how humans have reacted over time.
Yep.
For example, when they looked at statistics from war, apparently, and I'm hopeless at remembering numbers and I haven't written it down, but a very, very small number of people during the war actually fired their guns.
Right.
Under pressure, they still couldn't follow through with hurting another human. And one of the examples that will lead eventually back to Peter Warner was about the book The Lord of the Flies. Have you read it?
Yes.
Oh, why?
Because it was part of our, I don't know, maybe year 8 syllabus and I had
to. Well, something happened.
I'm pretty old.
We went to the same school and you're 2 years older than me and I did not read this book.
Okay.
But my mother-in-law read it.
Yep.
My mother was asked to read it, but she didn't love it.
Yep.
And I thought in preparation I should read it. So in true high school style, I crammed the night before and watched the movie.
Right. Yep, that's perfect.
The 1990s version, not the 1963 version. Have you seen the 1990s version?
No, I haven't.
Okay, look, if you still want to watch it, everybody, after I finish this really lovely review, go for it. I had to pay for it. I couldn't find it on any of my 17 streaming services.
What? How did you watch it?
I rented it.
All right.
Mm-hmm. It was $4.99.
Great.
It wasn't worth it. I didn't love it because a lot of the flies actually disagrees with Rutger Bregman and the author who wrote this completely fictional book. If you don't know about it, like me, no shame in that. It was written in 1954 by William Golding, and in his defense, he had seen World War II, and it was in the middle of the Cold War when he wrote this. Mm-hmm. So he had seen a lot of evil.
Do you want to just sum it up? Like,
yeah, sure. I can do that.
Just so people don't have to waste $4.99. Like, you don't have to give a synopsis. But
it's more the time. I can't get that time back.
Yeah. And so for me, what I can remember from reading the book a long time ago and not seeing the movie, that it's about anarchy and what happens when people are left in charge of themselves, basically.
Yes.
Yeah.
In the face of fear.
In the face of fear.
Yeah. Right. Also, in true typical high school fashion, I actually did this for my HSC. I summarised a book that I didn't read, and it's probably a book. I'll mention the book and you'll probably be like, oh, I loved that book. A Fortunate Life.
Nope, didn't read it.
You should read it. I reckon there's a story there.
Okay.
I didn't want to read it. I found it quite boring at the time. I'd probably be very interested now. So I got a summary. Let's just say my HSC was in the year 2000 and this wasn't, it was quite a techie thing to do, to get on the internet and get a little summary. I read the summary and much to my friend Louise's disgust, I actually did really well. So I tried it again today. So I've got the themes from the movie. The themes, and this is why they loved people studying it, between the years of what sounds like the 50s all the way to 1998.
I don't think you were the only person that did that, Megan.
Okay.
Speaking of books, I've just finished Vincent, is it Fontazo? Vincent, who's married to Asha Keddy.
Oh, yeah.
And he's a renowned Australian artist, painted that portrait of Heath Ledger just before he died. And he cheated his way through art school, got paid other people to write his essays and got caught because he's severely dyslexic.
Wow.
People did what they had to do to get where they needed to get. And
Thank you.
Somehow, I know we're not finished Peter Warner's story.
And these are my side quests to tell today. What are you doing?
Sorry.
Go, finish it up.
Well, I just think Peter Warner seems like someone who, when you're chasing your dreams, you do what you got to do to achieve them. Yeah. I feel like Peter Warner would be on board. Yeah.
Well, in my summary of Lord of the Flies, these are the themes that they want you to get out of it at high school. Evil, civilization versus savagery, loss of innocence, human nature, leadership and power, and fear. And there's a beast in this story, and that's a symbol of the fear that lives inside of you.
Right.
These British boys land in a plane crash and show up on a deserted island with no adults. At the beginning, they've got some rules and they live by the rules. They elect a leader, but then two kids break the rule of keeping the fire alight. So they've lit this fire to try and grab attention of anyone who might be passing by. And the fire went out and I think they missed, I don't know if it was a plane or a boat or something. But if it had been alight, they could have been saved. And after that first rule is broken, the island just turns to anarchy and it sort of turns into two gangs against each other. It becomes really violent and reckless, and it was very hard to watch young boys acting in this manner. And I don't want to spoil it after such a great review. Please go and watch it. But William Golding won a lot of awards for this.
He did, yeah.
They seem to think this is actually how humans would behave in this situation.
That's his perception of it, yes.
Correct.
Yeah.
However, if you Google the real Lord of the Flies, this has actually happened in real life, and Rutger Bregman, in his Humankind book, had done a lot of research to get to the bottom of this story because it wasn't a well-recognised story. It's one of those stories where you look back and go, so many heroes in this story, yet here we are fanning people like Donald Trump.
Yeah.
This happened in real life. We had 6 13 to 16-year-old teenage boys, and I'll give you a list of their names. These are their preferred names, I believe. When I looked at it, they were quite Polynesian, and I thought I'm going to struggle reading these.
Okay.
Mano Total, Sion Fatua, Stephen Fatai, Kolo Fekitoa, David Fafita, and Luke Vicoso. We'll get to know some of these characters as we go along.
Okay.
They go to boarding school in Tonga and they're bored. And when I was practicing this with Tom last night, who's 10, he was like, of course they're going to be bored at boarding school. He thought it was pretty funny.
Yeah, that sounds like a joke his Uncle Scott would make.
He's going to make a good dad. Okay, so they were bored and I'm going to use these air quotes here. They borrowed a fishing boat because they just wanted to go on an adventure. They were thinking maybe going to Fiji. However, when you really look into this story, they didn't have much sailing experience and they didn't have a compass. They did pack some bananas.
Oh.
They had a gas stove and they had some coconuts, I believe. But they've fallen asleep on the first night and they woke up, no land in sight, and they drifted for 8 days.
Ooh.
At one stage in these 8 days, Mano fell overboard and it took him a very long time with the waves to make his way back to the boat. It took a few hours for him to catch up. One of them, Sion, burnt himself with the gas fire very, very badly.
Trying to cook coconuts. Sorry, bad question.
Maybe fish.
Right.
Why didn't they take a gas stove?
I wondered that when they had bananas and coconuts.
I don't know. Burn himself on the gas. Maybe they were trying to keep warm, or maybe they were trying to get the salt and the water, to get drinking water.
Yes.
They did get a bit of drinking water from catching rainwater in coconuts.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, this was a really bad burn.
Mm-hmm.
And if it weren't for the maggots eating the bad flesh, he would have died. You love it, don't you?
I do.
I did that for you.
I do, and I've read about this, about people treating like bad wounds in survival situations with maggots.
Cool. Good to know. Good to know.
Yeah, just remember that.
Eva probably already knows that. Eva from our last episode. Okay. Eventually they found land, Ata. Now, it is a Polynesian word and it's spelt with an apostrophe, ATA. And I did some research on Polynesian linguistics.
Yes.
This is a glottal stop.
Glottal stop. What
This
does
apostrophe,
that mean?
it's a brief pause or catch in the throat, like the break in uh-oh.
Right.
But for the record, I'm just going to call it Ata.
Okay.
Okay, so they found this land. It was completely rocky cliff face. It was actually really difficult they sent one person first to see if it was okay, and then the rest of them came over. But then they were exhausted once they got onto the land, past all of the rocks, that it took them a few days to be able to search for whatever else was on this island, and they ate raw fish. I'm impressed about how their boat ended up crashing, so they didn't have...
And they lost their stove. Yep, raw fish. Yep.
Raw fish. They drank bird blood and ate their eggs, which, I mean, who can catch a bird with their hands? I'm very impressed by that part of the story. Mm-hmm. It was easier to catch a bird and drink their blood than to find fresh water, I'm getting from that. Surely that wasn't a choice.
Yeah.
If they had a choice between water and bird blood, they would choose water, wouldn't they?
Well, I think so, but, I mean, who am I to know the in and outs of different cultures?
When they had enough strength, they walked up this massive cliff, and at the top they found a space that had already been set up by civilization. And this was mentioned in the Acknowledgement to Country. Ata originally had about, I think, 350 native people living on their island 100 years before this happened. A ship came in to trade with them, and that was really quite common, and half of them came onto the ship to trade, and then they locked the ship up and the rooms up and took them away for slave trading.
Blackbirding.
Yep. When the King of Tonga found out about this, they came and got those that were left to take them back to live in the main islands of Tonga.
I want to look up the times with the Ben Boyd stuff. We haven't done the Ben Boyd episode yet, but we will, and you'll know more about this.
Okay, this happened in 1863, so it was almost exactly 100 years before the boys turned up. Devastating history. But why did you do that? Mm-hmm. But meant that there were some things there for the boys to work with, and they actually set up their own civilization. So there were already lots of chooks there. Bantam chooks were just living naturally.
There.
Yep. So they had plenty of food. There was lots of taro, which is a root vegetable.
It's like a sweet potato, isn't it?
I think so.
Like a white one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bananas. So there was lots of food for them. And then they ended up building a little community. So they built chook pens and a badminton court, a gym. One of them even made a guitar out of some coconut shells and some bits of wire that he found in the wreckage of their boat.
How long were they there for?
So they were there for 15 months. And this is where our friend Peter comes in. This comes into his second book, which is called Ocean of Light. Mm-hmm. And it talks about his time in Tonga. He actually went to Tonga to see if he could get a fishing license because the crayfish quite good around there apparently.
Right.
Really wanted to spend some time setting his fishing business up there.
Yep.
He was turned away and decided to come back to Australia, and on his way he saw the island of Ata, which he knew the history of. But when he looked up, he saw on the cliff face that there were lots of black burnt patches, which didn't add up in his head because he knew there was no one living there.
Yep.
And that they were in the tropics and fires couldn't just start. So they decided to take a little bit of a closer look, and they saw this hairy naked man just jumping up and down on the cliff going, "Hey, come and help us. We need your help." And then he swam, I think it was Stephen, swam out to Peter's boat and said, We're from the island of Tonga. We've been missing. We think that we've been on this island for 15 months. Peter instructs his men to load their guns because he thinks maybe it was apparently quite common for slaves just to be dropped off on islands and
left for dead, yeah.
Yeah, so he wasn't sure that these were going to be nice kids. He wasn't sure if this kid was telling the truth.
Yep.
So I think he led all of 6 of them on the boat with the guns and then radioed Tonga to find out whether the story they were telling was true.
Yep.
And he wrote down all their names and he said on the radio, "Hey, I've come across these people on the island of Ata. They say they are blah, 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 and that they went to this school and they've been missing for quite a while. Can you verify this story before I bring them back to Tonga?" And about 20 minutes later, the operator came back very emotional. It was like, "Oh my gosh, it is them. They've all had funerals. All their families have said goodbye to these boys, and now they've all been found alive and very, very fit, apparently."
Wow.
Yeah.
This is incredible.
It is a cool story, isn't it?
I love this story.
The point is, if we come back to humans being kind, well, actually, when you are under pressure, humans actually do the right thing and they help each other out, and they led this beautiful civilization where they dealt with arguments in a really mature way. And
they were good at community.
And it happens a lot. Apparently it happens in plane crashes as well. Like, let's never be in this situation, but apparently in plane crashes you really do look after other people and you sensibly let other people in front of you if it makes sense that they go first. And
well, I think we see this in our life in situations. Like, I can use the death of a child, not my child, but a friend's, where you see the absolute best of humanity. And COVID is another example where people are kind and looking after each other when things are tough. I think that's when this stuff is really displayed. But then I was thinking about it while you were talking. We've got these people on ships who are just going in and stealing complete communities. And this is why I can't ever say that kindness wins over selfishness.
So Rutger Bregden explains in Humankind, yes, there are going to be people who make bad choices. But if we meet those people with kindness, you start to rub off on them. He explains it with a lot of data and in a much better way than I do. But basically this book that took me 14 hours to read says be kind. Yeah. Everyone be kind. And we are.
It's a great message.
We are kind. However, life situations, and you've spoken about this before, well, we just spoke about it last week too, when you are hungry, when you are desperate, sometimes you make other choices.
Well, they say that humans are only like, is it 4 missed meals or 6 missed meals away from
eating other humans.
No,
yeah. No, we're not talking about cannibalism in here.
No, but away from making life-altering choices.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, it's interesting how that ties in with the last episode with Eva too, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It is. And actually, the whole concept ties in with so many of our episodes. I'm really enjoying this. Keep going.
So we'll come back to Peter, who
Has found these kids.
is obviously a very kind person. He's decided to take them back to Tonga.
Yep.
On turning up to Tonga, all 6 boys were arrested because they stole a fishing boat. So Peter decided to help them. He had a bit of a chat to the owner of the boat, and the owner of the boat said that it cost him £159, whatever that means in the 60s in Tongan. I don't know. Apparently that was a lot of money.
Yep.
And he said that if you get my money back, I won't press charges. Okay. So in order to get the money back, Peter decided to call Channel 7. He's got some connections
here in Australia,
back in Australia,
yes.
yeah, and said, I've got this really cool story. If you want to come over and pay for the boat, the boys will tell you their story. And Channel 7 said, yep, that's fine, but I want to be able to video this documentary on the island, so we'll have to go back to the island.
Yep.
And
can we watch this?
You can. Yes. It's on YouTube. However, it's not great. It's about a 10-minute video, and I'll put it in the show notes.
Okay, great.
The quality is not great. And also, when Channel 7 went to this island that's really hard to access through the rocks and stuff, apparently some of the film got damaged or lost or something. Okay. So it's not also a complete story. But it is lovely to see these boys reuniting with their families after they got out of jail. Oh, it's beautiful. So their families were just, as you can imagine,
ecstatic.
Like, oh my God.
Yes.
It was a very emotional time, and Peter was there for it, and he writes about it in his memoirs, and then he talks about how the family take him out crayfishing, Tongan style, which is very sustainable.
Yes.
And he did notice those sustainable ways, and he brought those in when he was fishing for the rest of his life. There is also plans for a Hollywood film, apparently. It's in the process, but I can't find any updates. Guys,
you heard it here first, before Hollywood. Megan beat him.
Yeah. The King of Tonga then asked for Peter to come and visit him, as you do.
Okay.
Which he did. And the King of Tonga said, thank you so much for bringing our boys back. Is there anything I can do for you? And he said, well, actually, I've been hoping to get a commercial fishing license. Just go, yeah, sure, here you go. So he got what he wanted, what he went to Tonga for. And then he moved his whole family to Tonga, and he lived there for 30 years.
Right.
So that's the next book, covers that. There was a couple of years before he moved there where he came back and started working on his ship, and he brought all 6 boys on as crew members. They all wanted to stay with him and work with him.
As paid crew members?
As paid crew members.
Not slave crew members, like
paid crew members.
Previous people on the island.
And he actually became very, very close to Mano, and Mano stayed by his side for most of the rest of his life, whether it was on these journeys or living here in Australia.
I think if I knew Peter Warner, I'd want to hang out with him all the time too.
Yeah, it sounds like a really cool guy.
Yeah.
So Mano and Peter, I notice you use their last names. I can't do that. They're like my friends. I'm going to call him by his first name. Mano and Peter have developed this really deep friendship, and they sailed together on many future voyages. In 1974, he rescued another shipwreck of people. What? Off Middleton Reef in the Tasman Sea.
Yeah.
It was 4 members, 2 ladies and 2 men from New Zealand, and they were stranded off Ballina. They survived 6 weeks by sheltering in a wrecked Japanese fishing longliner, and they used rusted hooks from the wreck to catch fish, and that's how they survived.
Wow.
When Mano and Peter were out on this voyage, they noticed this flash, which happened to be a mirror. The shipwrecked people were trying to get everyone's attention, and Mano noticed, and they went a bit closer, and they found these 4 people alive and in good health.
This is extraordinary. He doesn't just do cool stuff. He, saves people's lives.
Yeah, twice. How can that happen twice? Crazy.
What a legend.
In the 1990s, he moved to the Northern Rivers of New South Wales and became a noted macadamia farmer and tree manager. He eventually settled in Lismore, and despite his background, he chose a quiet, humble life, often shunning the limelight.
I wonder if it's the macadamia farm I used to go to. I used to live in Ballina.
What?
Yeah.
Who are you? How do I not know this?
I lived there for a couple of years. Yeah, and
You're lying.
No, I'm not. And we came back.
How do I not know this?
We came back just before I had Elsie.
I don't even know you. That's crazy. Well, you should go and do some research.
Yeah.
To find out if it is. I have a quote. It was not until I moved to the subtropical northern rivers of New South Wales that I became drawn like a scattered handful of iron fillings to a giant magnet towards these native evergreen trees known as macadamias. And Mano worked with him here too. And that is, I believe, the story in his third memoir, which is called Twilight of the Dawn, but I can't get my hands on that. I bought the other two through Amazon and got them on Kindle, but I cannot get my hands on this Twilight of the Dawn one. So I believe it's basically broken up into 30 years, 30 years.
It's 30 years, right.
I do have his lovely dedication written in the front of his second book, Ocean of Light, that I wanted to read out.
Okay.
This book is dedicated to my children and grandchildren, grandnieces and nephews, and all their descendants. I hope it will help you to appreciate where I am coming from and how I gradually came to understand the world in the way I do now through my old eyes. Life has taught me many things, including the notion of always looking for the good and positive things in people, i.e. their moral and spiritual values. So this book, which is really a study of interesting and intriguing people set in romantic and wild backgrounds, will start you thinking about their virtues and how and for what purpose were all these people placed on this planet.
That's a bit lovely.
I thought it was nice. Yeah.
It's a bit lovely.
Do you have anything you want to add to my story?
Oh, I could go down so many rabbit holes, but it's so positive.
Yes, Shannon, you can tell positive stories.
I know. I do love a positive story. Like, I really do. But I think it's the ones that make me angry. And that's why they tend to be negative type things, because it's the injustice in the situation or the thing that the person has done that enrages me. And maybe that's why I gave the answer that I did at the start.
Because you thought mine was going to be like that, didn't you?
No,
I
didn't.
definitely could have taken it in that direction. And there are opinions about the rescue being a Tongan story and it should be told by those Tongans. And here a white man is claiming this story. And there's no record of him taking that money for anything other than paying that fishing boat. There's no record of that.
Yep.
But you could definitely have looked at this from other perspectives, but I couldn't find enough to say that this guy wasn't wonderful.
No, and I think he is wonderful, and I think everything that he did with virtue in trying to help other people. He is the kindness, and there are people like him who exist in the world.
A lot of people.
A lot, but the problem is, and this is where I'm going to go back to why I think the way I think, is that people who are not motivated by helping others, and that's why that little community worked. And we are wired, like if you go back prehistorically, we are wired to live in community. Our brains are wired to help each other, because when that really strong man kills a saber-toothed tiger, he can't carry that back to the camp. So he has a group of warriors around him that help him get that back, and they cut it up together, because if they don't work together as a team, the meat spoils and no one eats. The women gather the other things because they can't live off meat alone. They need the vitamins and minerals and stuff from the foraging, and that's what the girls are doing, and they're taking care of the children, and which goes on to keep the race alive. That's the idea of community, and it's ingrained in us. What changes that is selfishness. And we end up in a world where greed and self-service become the priority. I mean, we could argue that that's exactly where we are now. That rich, powerful people are running our world, and their view is that the only people they need to look after are other rich, powerful people. So any diversity that lays below that just doesn't matter. Greed and selfishness is the thing that destroys kindness. And the world is full of those people who are kind and amazing. And in a crisis, you look for the helpers. They're the people that you want to be friends with. You walk into a wedding or any type of social event where you don't know someone. The first thing I do is look for the people who are helping. They're the people that I'm going to talk to first. I love that concept, but I am so enraged by the fact that the minority are the people that are in control on a wider scale.
Yep.
And I hope that it changes. Sometimes I wonder if we're on this precipice where, because those people who are greedy and powerful, the thing that they talk about the most at the moment is, the woke people. But the woke people just care about other people. They just want kindness and equality and all of those things. The powerful people are fighting so hard against that. That generally happens just before they fall, So I really hope that we go back to a world like those boys on that island rather than this Lord of the Flies crap. It's about survival. And when you make life about survival, then that's what's in people's brains every day. You're watching the news, you're watching the stock market, my superannuation's going through the floor, that company I've invested in, shares have gone. And all of this means that my future is not secure. If we all just work together, we could all have all the things that we needed.
Or we need more people like Peter in those powerful positions who reject certain ways of living.
That's exactly right.
And certain lifestyles and certain decisions. And
our interview with Eva is she has given up a financially based life, which means there's things that she can't have access to. But her life is simple and kind, and she's surrounded by beautiful, like-minded people. And her world looks very different to the majority of the rest of us. So, look, that's not the angle you were taking this, but that's what I take from this story. I don't think the kindness is always a veneer for everyone. Just for some people. Yeah.
Peter's life ended where he'd always felt most at home, on the water. In April 2021, at the age of 90, he died in a boating accident while sailing near the Ballina Bar, a notoriously tricky stretch of water. He was with a friend, returning from what was likely a routine outing when their vessel overturned. Peter didn't make it back to shore. It was a tragic end, but somehow fitting for a man whose life had always been tied to the sea, a life lived with adventure, purpose, and deep connection to the ocean. Thank you for joining us for today's episode of If These Trees Could Talk. If you would like to access more about the places or information included in today's topic, please visit our website, ifthesetreescouldtalk.com.au. If you would like to follow us on our adventures, check us out on Facebook or Insta. Our creative writer is Shannon Walters, and our podcast is produced at Bellevue Studio in the Hunter Valley with audio production by Megan Anderson. We love to hear your feedback, so please rate and review, and if you would like to hear more, please subscribe. We look forward to you joining us for our next adventure.